Shortly. Pleasant good evening, everyone. So happy to have you here, so happy to be here. Welcome to the 2021 Prime Minister Lecture Series. I can tell you now that it's going to be quite an interesting, inspiring, and entertaining evening, so I hope you're all ready for what they have in store for you. Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, other members of the Federal Cabinet and the National Assembly, members of the Diplomatic Corps and Consular Corps, permanent secretaries and other senior government officials, Dr. Almesha Richardson Campbell, our featured speaker, family members and guests of the featured speaker, staff and students of the various high schools around the Federation, representatives of the private sector, Imani Samuel, third form student of the Verchilds Secondary School, who composed this year's theme for independence, members of the diaspora, viewers and listeners via various media platforms, other specially invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Jacqueline Bryan, and I will be your chair this evening. And we will get the program going with a special rendition of the national anthem played by trumpet by Mr. Inoite Inanga. Thank you so much, Mr. Inanga. Can we have another round of applause? I thought that was truly special. As a God-fearing nation, we absolutely cannot begin our proceedings without inviting his presence here. And to do so, I will invite Pastor Michael Pinney to give the invocation.
Let us pray. O God, in whom we move, live, and have our being, in whom there is no variableness, no shadow of turning or doubt, whose faithfulness is great, whose mercies are new every day. God, we come before you, pausing to give you thanks. We thank you for this day and for bringing us through this day and for allowing us to be here. We thank you for this opportunity we have to celebrate the 38th anniversary of independence. And even, Lord, as we face all challenges, that we will learn to adapt, to do the necessary changes. And, oh God, in all of we have to do to take care of what is happening around us, we pray that you also guide our nation. We thank you for your blessings upon St. Kitts and Nevis. For 38 years, you have blessed us through thick and thin, through the sunshine and through the rain. We thank you for all who have served in our government, who have served our country. We thank you for them. And even for the men and women who lead our country, even at this time, we ask you to grant them wisdom and understanding. So even as we celebrate our anniversary, we pray for our Prime Minister, Dr. Harris, and his cabinet, and members of the opposition, and all those who serve in Parliament, that they may work for the good of St. Kitts and Nevis. And as we celebrate, we come tonight for this, another Prime Minister's lecture. We thank you for the idea when our nationals can come and share what you have done in their lives to inspire boys and girls, men and women, to do great things for country and great things for God. So, Dr. Campbell, we bring her before you at this time. We ask you to strengthen her and give her words as she speaks tonight, and that we may have receptive hearts and that we may learn. So, Lord, we thank you for what you have done for our country, what you have done for us. And as we celebrate, we may continue to put you first in all that we do. So bless our proceedings tonight, and we remember the words of God. With God in all our struggles, St. Kitts and Nevis be, a nation bound together with a common destiny. This we ask, giving thanks in Jesus' name and for his sake. And all God's people say, amen. Thank you very much.
You may be seated. Thank you very much, Pastor Penny. Amen to that. Now, would you believe me if I told you that I was present at Warner Park for the independence ceremony? Yes, I was. I was a baby in the arms of my mother, Emmeline Bryan, and my parents thought it was just such an important moment they needed to see it for themselves. So they went to Warner Park and joined the hundreds of people who were there for the occasion. And my dad, because granted, I can't remember anything, but I have images in my mind of what the atmosphere might have been like, because if anyone knows my father, St. Clair Bryan, also known as Bractus, you know that he's quite the storyteller. And he would speak about seeing dark thick clouds gathering in the north, and white thick clouds gathering in the south, and him telling my mother, I think we need to get the children to shelter because this thing looked like it's gonna be rained out, because he had my two older sisters there, Cheryl and Angela. But for some reason, they ended up just staying put. And he recalls at the stroke of midnight, he says, when the anthem was being played for the first time, and the national flag was being raised for the first time, that there was just a light drizzle. And I always hear people talk about this light drizzle. And he said afterwards, once the anthem was over, the skies just miraculously cleared up. And as much as they say St. Kitts people feared rain, everybody stayed put, because they were just so emotional and so drawn into the occasion. And I hold the belief, like my dad, that maybe that was God's way of just letting people know he was there with the people of St. Kitts and Nevis at such a historic moment. So, Pastor Penny, I do believe that St. Kitts and Nevis is and has always been a blessed nation. And I'm truly happy to be here this evening to share in this commemorative occasion. So, having delivered that little patriotic speech, we're going to now have a patriotic item by a local dance company. So please welcome Dancers who will perform, they are coming from Poise SKN. I know, I don't want the music to stop either, but can we give them another round of applause? Thank you so much, Poise SKN. And it's important that we include the arts when we are having commemorative events for independence, because it also shows how far we've come and how much we've developed and how diversified we are. So the instrumental and the dance performance were welcomed. Could we, at this time, acknowledge the arrival of the Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, who has been hosting this event every year for several years, and it highlights nationals, whether here in St. Kitts and Nevis or living in the diaspora, who have made something of themselves, have made their country proud, and have really done well, so well, that they are invited to share their stories, share a message with us. And I hope that that message will be especially appreciated by the young people who are gathered here this evening. We have students from several of the educational institutions in St. Kitts and Nevis. And we must celebrate our young people because they are ready to take over. So ready that I think this is the second year in a row that the independence theme was written by a young person. So our theme this year, Adapt, Diversify, Recreate, Independence 38, was written by and conceptualized by Imani Samuel. Imani, could you rise? We must recognize Imani this evening. Well done. Third form student of the Birchilds Secondary School. Well done, Imani. To introduce our guest speaker this evening is Sonia Body Thompson, and I'll invite her now to do so.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Almesha L. Campbell currently serves as the Assistant Vice President for Research and Economic Development and Director for Technology Transfer and Commercialization at the Jackson State University, JSU. She provides support for the overall direction of the Division of Research and Economic Development, which includes sponsored programs, grants and contract administration, research compliance, federal relations, and technology transfer and commercialization. Dr. Campbell also manages the intellectual property process from triage of invention disclosures to commercialization. She provides strategic direction and vision for defining partnerships in research, commercialization, entrepreneurship, and innovation initiatives between JSU and other institutions, funding agencies, and industry stakeholders. Dr. Campbell is the principal investigator for 3 research projects funded by the National Science Foundation, which includes the JSU Innovation Core Site Program designed to train teams of faculty and students how to commercialize their ideas. She also serves as the Executive Director for the National Institute of General Medical Sciences, funded ENRICH, a healthcare-focused pre-accelerator program for historical Black colleges and universities, HBCUs. She was awarded the Women Business Center at JSU by the U.S. Economic Development Administration, EDA, and awarded a grant by the governor of the state of Mississippi to infuse virtual reality and augmented reality into the STEM curriculum at JSU. In addition to her administrative and grantsmanship duties, Dr. Campbell also teaches Venture One in the Department of Entrepreneurship of the College of Business. Dr. Campbell co-conceptualized and created the JSU Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, which houses the XR Academy, Makerspace, 3D printing and prototyping, Learning Collaboratory, Esports Academy, Production Room, and more. Her work in the center has been nationally recognized by the University Economic Development Agency as the 2020 Excellence in Innovation Awardee, and the Enrich program was awarded the Lab to Market Visionary Award by the EDA and was featured in Forbes. She has partnered with a number of corporate entities to develop programs at JSU, including HP, Cisco, CodePath, Unity, and Sony PlayStation. She also partners with a number of universities, including the University of Kentucky, Oregon State University, Georgia Tech, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, and more. Dr. Campbell was recently elected to the board of the Association of University Technology Managers, AUTM, the first Black person and the first from an HBCU. At AUTM, she serves on the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee and the Women Investors Special Interest Group. She is also a board member of Innovative Mississippi and the Bean Path nonprofit organization. She is also a member of the Licensing Executive Society, LESS, the American Society of Public Administration, ASPA, the American Society for Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, and Sigma Psi. She co-founded Global Equality and Diversity in Technology Transfer to promote equality, diversity, and inclusion in tech transfer across the globe. Dr. Campbell is a nationally recognized voice on innovation, entrepreneurship, tech transfer, and commercialization, and a well-sought-after conference speaker and panelist. Dr. Campbell received a bachelor's degree from the University of Central Florida, the master's degree in mass communications, and the Doctor of Philosophy degree in public policy and administration from the Jackson State University. She grew up in Newton Ground Village, St. Kitts, and attended the Sandy Point High School. She now lives in Mississippi with her husband and 2 daughters. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome our featured speaker for this evening, Dr. Almesha Campbell.
Thank you so much for that great introduction. Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister Sean Richards, Honorable Akila Byron Nisbet, Chair of the Independence Program, other ministers of government, members of parliament, members of the diplomatic corps, special invited guests, educators, students, family, friends, and colleagues at home and abroad. I am indeed honored and humbled to stand before you today as the keynote speaker for the Prime Minister's Independence Lecture Series. Independence has always meant a great deal to me because as a little girl, I remember waving the flag at our first independence celebration, and in 1985, witnessing Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth's visit to Brimstone Hill, not fully understanding then its meaning, but seeing the pride of our citizens and then marching as a member of the Girls Brigade at the annual Independence Day celebrations. However, as I age, and yes, I am aging, I have used Independence Day as a marker and a reminder that my birthday is exactly 1 week away. Sometimes in the busyness of life, it would be that day, Independence Day, that reminds me to slow down and think about my many gifts and blessings. Now today, I get to celebrate you and to contemplate the theme of this year's independence: Adapt, Diversify, Recreate, Independence 38. What a fitting theme at this time. In March of 2020, I traveled to Maryland to assist the National Oceanic and Administrative with a program site visit. When arrived, there was chatter that the COVID-19 virus had made its way to the United States. Hello? Sorry. Can you all hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, my apologies. I was getting calls that couldn't hear me. So my apologies for that. I am indeed honored and humbled to stand before you today as the keynote speaker of the Prime Minister's Independence Lecture Series. Independence has always been special to me because as a little girl, I remember waving the flag at our first independence celebration, and in 1985, witnessing Her Majesty the Queen visit to Brimstone Hill, not fully understanding its meaning then, but seeing the pride in our citizens and then marching as a member of the Girls Brigade at the annual Independence Day celebrations. However, as I age, and yes, I am aging, I have used Independence Day as a marker and a reminder that my birthday is exactly 1 week away. Sometimes in the busyness of life, it would be that day, Independence Day, that reminds me to slow down and think about my many gifts and blessings. Now today, I get to celebrate you and to contemplate the theme of this year's Independence: Adapt, Diversify, Recreate Independence 38. And that young person who came theme knew that we were in a time that required us to adapt, diversify, and recreate. In March 2020, I traveled to Maryland to assist the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration with a program site visit. When arrived, there was chatter that the COVID-19 virus had made its way to the United States. On my flight home, I wiped everything down with Lysol wipe, thinking then that this was temporary. 2 weeks later, the state of Mississippi, where I currently reside, went into state-mandated quarantine. It was then that reality set in, that this was the new normal. We, the entire world, had to quickly adapt to this new normal, had to think about virtual learning, remote work, virtual meetings, and even doing without some of those amenities. I still cannot understand the issue with the toilet paper, but that's for another talk. There was some resistance, and I understand that there's some resistance still, but what I learned during this pandemic is how to adapt to these changes and how to become far more creative and innovative in executing even routine tasks. Adapt. For some of you, I know that adapting to the new normal may not be easy, and for a variety of reasons. However, you have to be or become agile. When things are not going right, you must be able to readily assess where you are, what you're currently doing, what's working, and what's not working, and develop responses and approaches or strategies to move forward. The entire ecosystem around us is evolving and changing, so one cannot afford to let complacency gain a foothold. It is more important than ever that we remain alert, attempt to stay one step ahead, and always strive to be the best version of ourselves. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed a lot of things, and frankly, there's no going back to how things were pre-pandemic. So, and this pertains especially to the students who are in the audience. Think about your baseline needs. Think about what you want to learn, what you want from your educational pursuits, and think how that education would help you to fulfill your dream and your personal or career aspirations. A mentor of mine once told me that it is when access to resources are scarce that you must be your most creative. Think about the many sacrifices our petition parents made, the many times they had to make a stretch a meal to feed the family, and how many times they had to forego their own educational pursuits to create a path for the next generation. You, the future engineers, scientists, sociologists, public policy advocates, educators, and yes, even the Prime Minister. So the seeds of germinating innovation and creativity is already ingrained in you. Your responsibility now is to nurture those seeds. They are critical to your adaptation and readiness for the future. When I reflect on my academic journey, it did not just start at the University of Central Florida. It started at Newton Brown Primary School. It started on my first day of kindergarten when this once shy girl held on to the corridor poles, eager to learn, yet anxious about the day. It started when Miss Douglas, our kindergarten teacher, pulled out the building blocks and taught us how to count them and stack them and how to work together as a team. Just like we had to adapt to learning new things at that tender age, so too must we adapt to learning new things today. It is never too late to learn, and learning should always be a lifelong and endless journey. The trend now is for you to go into workforce prepared with industry-ready skills. Thus, the partnership between industry and academia is becoming critical and almost indispensable. For the past few months, I have been working with leaders at HP to develop a technology conference for HBCUs focused on the future of work and the democratization of innovation. HP and other industry partners like Microsoft and Intel want to ensure that they have a diverse workforce and thus they're investing in the student talent at HBCU. That is why I applaud the foresight of companies like CDC that invested in students like me. I did not envision where the training and experience I gained as a high school student will take me, but I am still benefiting from those skills that I acquired back then. The informal mentorship of former co-workers by teachers such as Jackie Hazel, Keith Fraser, Ivan Francis, and others have prepared me to be able to continuously adapt to my new environment, to be able to draw on those skill sets almost daily. Let me pause to say this. Cherish your educators, respect them, and support them. Sometimes they are the most underappreciated professionals, but they are laying an important foundation for your future. I know that I am blessed to have had them as my educators in my life, some of whom I wish I had during my higher education journey. People often say that it's who you know that determines if you get your foot in the door. However, let me challenge that notion and argue that it is my work ethic, ambition, and solid academic and social cultural background as a Christian woman that instilled the courage and continue to inspire me to unhinge the proverbial door, walk through that said door confidently, and when necessary, keep it open for others. These characteristics allow me to be who I am today. Professionally, I have two mottos. One, I work for the cause and not the applause. And two, I let my work speak for itself. So you students have the ability to define who you are and not allow other people to define you. So my message is strengthen your ability to adjust and adapt, learn, create, and innovate through development of a zeal of knowledge and innate curiosity. Ensure that these fit into the flow of your work and position you for the next steps. Innovative pathways, modules, and activities that will yield insight that you can immediately apply to your life. Adopt a mindset that allows you to excel in everything that you do. It's not about being the best in everything, but it's about giving your best in everything that you do. Set goals for yourself and check them off when completed. Celebrate those things. Keep a standard and continue to raise the bar of excellence. This will help you to adapt to changes, overcome challenges, and continue in the spirit of excellence. In my doctoral journey, I had some challenges. And the one thing that I kept saying over and over again during the journey is elastic perseverance, have their success. The motto of my former high school, Sandy Point High School, now known as Charles E. Mills High School. That motivated me to ignore the distractions and adapt to my new reality and understand that my perseverance will one day have its reward. So now diversify. To the educators who are in the audience or listening virtually, we have to diversify how we deliver our curriculum material. Change is good and technology is ubiquitous. We must use platforms that facilitate and complement student learning and feedback at that suits their learning needs and their style, and allow them to have that conversation, that dialogue with you about what their needs are in terms of education. In my interactions with students, whether they are part of my Innovation Fellows program or just students I meet walking across campus, I learn that they are hungry for new knowledge as much as they are for access to new technologies, new learning methods, and new opportunities to excel in whatever path they choose. This fuels me. Oh, it fuels me to know that they want to learn, to know that they want this access. And so I want to help them find those opportunities. This is one of the reasons why I pursued funding to develop a program to infuse virtual reality in the STEM curriculum at Jackson State University. I pursued degrees in liberal arts, mass communication, and public policy. But now I spend at least 90% of my time with STEM faculty and students. It was important for me to look at the current trends in research funding, education, and access to diversify my own knowledge base and skill sets. I wanted to learn mass communication because I wanted to be a great communicator, and here I am speaking before you today. I also wanted to write. I love writing, and that helps me with reports, grant writing, and other areas of professional communication. I wanted to study public policy because I always loved politics. And if you know me growing up, you knew I loved politics. And I wanted to understand public discourse thanks to the Right Honorable Dr. Kennedy Alphonse Simmons and his stellar leadership when I was a youth. I have always loved the conceptualization and implementation of programs in response to social issues. I still get to do this, but I utilize those trainings in very different and innovative ways. So that's how you diversify. You use the knowledge that you have. You use the experiences you had in your life. You use all those knowledge gained from you from a young age all the way up to diversify yourself and your portfolio. So, students, how do you see and define yourself? I want you to ask yourself this question. Who are you when things are taken away, such as your job, such as your inability to walk into a physical classroom during COVID-19? How do you react to things like this? I want you to know that you have the fortitude, you have everything within you to persevere. So pull from your arsenal, your knowledge base, and you will thrive. Let your belief in yourself be stronger than your doubt. Be adequately self-affirmed and confident that your self-worth is never dependent or easily impacted by others or variables of change in your environment. Build deep and sustained networks and connections among your fellow students who are poised to transform education. Here's to who understand the day-to-day challenges that you face. Be able to unpack ideas, practice skills, share stories, and help each other solve leadership and ecosystem challenges. Be open to constructive criticism from your educators. Yes, I know they're not always right, but be open to have that dialogue. Be open to argue your point with facts, right? To demonstrate that you understand the concepts that are being taught to you. Be able to unpack all of that. Be open to those constructive criticisms and figure out how to incorporate those new ideas that were taught to you in a new way of thinking. And yes, all of that, but then you have to know how to recreate. Think about recreating things that you have been successful doing, things that you enjoy and are passionate about, but also look at new ways of doing or refining things, using new ideas and technologies and capabilities to repurpose them on a new level where you can engage with different people with diverse perspectives to solve old problems. This is innovation, albeit in simple terms. There are no limits to what you can do, but you must be committed. You must work hard, and you must imagine everything you do, work, school, because the only limits are your own imagination. Think about this. A lot of the outcomes of science are not new. Some are refined confirmations of what was known before, and some are new because of advancement in technologies that allows us to see further than using traditional methods. For example, new data science approaches are helping to identify and address critical public health needs, including food and water insecurities and even violence prevention. Additionally, the virtual reality curriculum that I'm spearheading are allowing students to view content in a whole different way. For imagine the periodic table that used to be thumbtacked on the chalkboard or taped to the wall is now in virtual reality where students can interact with each of those elements. You can also teleport the entire class to a scrapyard metal where they can interact with the different type of metals and have conversations with their professor about what they see and where they go on the periodic table. Think about the human anatomy and how we learned it. Now you can go into the body in virtual reality. You can walk around, you can look at the nose and the head and the stomach. You can tell if someone has asthma, COPD, or heart condition. Imagine the changes that are occurring in the healthcare field. So what you build and recreate must be intentional. Think about this. If it's not COVID, it can be something else, like something related to climate change, other pandemics, or environmental disaster. So we cannot always operate in crisis mode. We must prepare and be agile enough to adjust and change and be ready to respond rather than waiting for in the middle of a situation to start planning. We hardly have to create anything new. Our parents will tell you the fashion that are in today's fashion were wore 60 years ago. So it's just another way of refining things as we go. We have to adopt the philosophy that everything can be improved. Think about how you can make things more efficient and user friendly for everyone. Think about the pain points that you may have with a product that you purchase. Think about what that ideal project would look like if you were able to develop it yourself. Start looking at those and develop your value proposition for your business model canvas. That is what the National Science Foundation ICO program teaches us about doing the business model canvas and talking to customers to ensure we understand that we are solving one or more of their problems. When I co-conceptualized and created the Center for Innovation, Entrepreneurship, and Economic Development, in which I stand today, the idea was that I wanted to create a neutral space, a space where students and faculty can recreate, redesign an environment to allow everyone in every field or discipline of academic study, from engineers to English majors, to come in and ideate, create, innovate, and commercialize emerging technologies. I was happy to hear about the establishment of the Ministry of ICT, Entertainment, Entrepreneurship, and Talent Development. This ministry is critical to the economic sustainability of our federation. So I encourage our young people to get involved, to figure out what this ministry offers and how you can learn from what they're offering. I encourage the youth also to explore the many digital learning platforms that allow them to learn anything from AI and machine learning to entrepreneurship and public policy. Evaluate the time that you spend on social media reviewing content, following hashtags, making TikTok videos, and even trolling celebrities. Use that time, some of that time wisely, to develop new skills. Just recently, I took a class on virtual reality development, and I was telling you, I'm no good at it, but I was able to develop an immersive game. I was able to do that and encourage my students to learn that as well. I didn't have to do any of that, but I did it because I wanted to have intelligent conversation with our students, and I wanted those conversations to be authentic. I wanted them to know that I understood the content and I understand the verbiage used within those technologies. So being that example, received buy-in from our students, and I was able to mentor those students to become change agents on our campus for tech innovation and entrepreneurship. So the trust factor was built from a level of authenticity. Honestly, I have to say, I learned a lot about VR, the new things that are out, how to connect with devices from my 14-year-old daughter. And what I learned from her, I bring into my work environment. So I know that you students have it in you to learn new things, create new things, and be innovators and inventors. Excellence is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. Choice, not change, determines your destiny. Aristotle. If this pandemic has taught me anything, it should be how to adapt to a new normal. It has allowed us to diversify our efforts and to recreate new trends. The future demands people who are agile, flexible, innovative, and always willing to learn and adapt. We need future leaders to understand that all these things will be intrinsic to the leadership ecosystem. Now, understand this. Not everyone will have all of these components, so we must learn to collaborate and delegate when necessary. So the future then is about teamwork, interdisciplinary collaboration integrated with technology platforms, and like your GPS says, recalculate without. So it does not matter what field of study, what industry, what government ministry, we have to adapt, diversify, and recreate in order to be sustainable. To our nation's educators, I speak directly to you. Some of your voices and your work ethics continue to resonate with me. Thank you for your commitment to education and the spirit of excellence you have always shown as educators. To Mr. Hodge, the Permanent Secretary of Education, the person who has become a confidant, friend, and father figure to many he has taught throughout his academic career. We appreciate you. You are now in a position to help transform education. And I know you have many nationals at home and abroad that can lend their expertise. Lean on them. To the Leader family in St. Paul's, you have been a staple in my life. You have never missed a moment in my life's journey. I will forever be grateful for your friendship, love, and unconditional support. A special thanks to my two beautiful daughters, Ayana and Amara, who are now viewing from at home. I love and appreciate you for allowing mommy to pursue her dreams and for being my biggest cheerleaders. You were birthed during times when I was doing my academic journey, and you stood with me, by me, and sometimes went to classes with me. I learned so much from you, and I am blessed beyond measure to be your mom. To my brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews at home and in London, and to my extended family, I love you wholeheartedly. To my mother, Marilyn Richardson, the lady of my heart. You have supported me and loved me unconditionally. My pursuing a doctoral degree stemmed from a conversation we had when I was a teenager. I never forgot, and so that degree was for you. If it was not for your strength, hard work, and support, I would not be where I am today. You are my hero. To the leaders of our great Twin Island Federation, the future leaders are in your presence. Inspire them, encourage them, and provide opportunities for them to adapt, diversify, and recreate. To the young people listening to the sound of my voice, I hope that something that I said encouraged and inspired you, that you would see my trajectory from a little girl from Newton Ground Village to where I am today, the authenticity, the hard work ethic, the fact that I'm humbled to be here. I hope you see that and you see that you too can do this and more. Do not be like me, be better than me. So do not let where you come from or the challenges you experience define you. Be resilient by setting goals, building your self-confidence, maintaining a healthy perspective on life, practice thought awareness, and most of all, please learn to relax. To my mentors, thank you for encouraging me to spread my wings and fly. But most importantly, thank you for ensuring that I stay humble and grounded in the lessons of my childhood, the lessons of my mom and my grandmother. Mama, I still miss you. Thanks to the organizers of this lecture series, who have done a phenomenal job working with me over the past few days, especially the technical team whose name I wouldn't call. I appreciate all of you. To Wallace Wilkins, I appreciate you. I appreciate the support that has been ongoing for a very long time. Honorable Prime Minister, thanks for the well wishes. Thanks for reaching out and connecting with me to thank me for having this honor to speak today. And to the SKM Patriots, congrats on your huge win today. Ah, what a lovely, lovely, lovely thing to see, and the celebration that I saw on social media this evening. And finally, I am using this opportunity to launch a scholarship program at the Newton Graham Primary School for a student entering high school with a passion for technology, innovation, entrepreneurship, or public policy. I am challenging all my colleagues, friends, supporters, and well-wishers to contribute financially to this program. I'll be reaching out to you. Adapt, diversify, recreate, independence, 38. It has been an honor to be your keynote speaker. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Can we have another round of applause for our featured speaker? Absolutely fantastic. I don't know if you can tell, but my chest is a little bigger now than it was at the start of the program, because I feel so much more proud after having heard her presentation and her challenge to us to do better and all that she's accomplished, and that she knows that the young people here have greater things to come still. And to top it off with that scholarship that she's offering, I mean, amazing. Amazing. We're now going to have a presentation in response to the guest speaker by Renicia Huggins.
Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, Dr. Akila Byron Nisbet, Chair of the Independence Committee, other ministers of government, members of parliament, members of the diplomatic corps, specially invited guests, educators, students, family, friends, and colleagues at home and abroad, good evening. It was indeed refreshing and inspiring to listen to Dr. Almesha Richardson Campbell couple her experience and expertise as a means of contributing to the celebration of our nation's 30th anniversary of independence in light of our current situation. She succinctly addressed the main action points in this year's theme as we continue to adjust our approach to improve the lives and the livelihoods of our fellow citizens and residents. Adapt, diversify, recreate. Please allow me to interact with a few of the outstanding points made by our presenter this evening. As Dr. Richardson Campbell delved into the need to adapt, she highlighted that although the COVID-19 pandemic has changed many things, it has not eliminated the importance of a quality education. As a result, the need remains for each of us, especially our students, to assess the present state of affairs, acknowledge the human and other resources at our disposal, and make the best use of each opportunity that has been presented to us. Indeed, if we are to effectively adapt to the change, we must be willing to leave the comforts we grew used to pre-pandemic and explore the new frontiers that are now available. But wait, are we really leaving our comforts, or are we making more productive use of our comforts? As youth, we enjoy much screen time. Now we have an occasion to put our screen time to good use. Remember, excellence is the goal, and the goal is attainable with the right work ethic and ambition. Then we adapt. When we adapt, we can diversify. Tonight's speaker underscored the times of the mere chalk and talk in the traditional classroom setting have been dramatically interrupted. At the same time, technology presents a range of opportunities to diversify the way in which both teaching and learning takes place. In the absence of the limited familiar, we are urged to make use of the wider range of techniques, modes, and media we are being exposed to. Ultimately, we are not defined by what we have, but by how well we are using what we have and who we have. In addition to diversifying our approaches, this evening we have been reminded to recreate ideas, trends, technologies, and capabilities. Essentially, we must not settle for the traditional use of what is around us when there are so many other issues, for example, climate change, that need to be addressed. Also, we should not be limited by our current circumstances, which at any point can change, hopefully for the better, or possibly for the worse. Hence, we are encouraged to position ourselves to best respond to the change using what we have. Technology exposes us to various platforms, not just for entertainment, but also avenues for entrepreneurship. I was particularly pleased when Dr. Richardson Campbell eloquently stated, "We hardly have to create anything new." Is it possibly due to the lack of imagination and creativity that we lock ourselves into the box of someone else's ideas instead of launching out into what more uniquely suits us? Tonight, we acknowledge that we must choose to recreate for greater improvement and further advancement, and refuse to settle with reproducing for the same already known result. Moreover, we cannot overlook the presenter's decision not just to stand or sit and beckon us to act, but has added her hand to her voice to create scholarship opportunities to some of our nation's youth. Her remarkable example reminds us that we cannot be comfortable with only speaking about the change that needs to take place. However, we must be more willing to join our hearts and hands to assist those who have been affected by the change we are all experiencing. There is something we all can do, and no act is too small when measured against mere speech. After all, the old adage is still true, that action speaks louder than words. Like Dr. Richardson Campbell, when we act, remember it is for the cause and not for the applause. Finally, as I express my depth of gratitude to the speaker for her insightful and thought-provoking words, it would be remiss of me not to pinpoint her encouragement to be grateful. For our parents, educators, mentors, peers, corporate establishments, or leaders in the communities and the country, we must be thankful. They continue in the advancement of our nation, much without our sincere expression of thankfulness. So thank you, Dr. Campbell, for reminding us, like the Apostle Paul did, to be content. May we take your words of encouragement with us as we truly make the effort to adapt, diversify, and recreate for Independence 38 and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're now going to have a patriotic item. This one is coming out of Nevis, and it's by Soca Empress. It will be delivered in video format.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ladonna Pemberton, also known as Soca Empress. And I would like to say a happy 38th Independence to St. Kitts and Nevis. The name of my song is Blessed. Raise your hands and wave them. Let us dance and celebrate it. 'Cause we are blessed. Yes, we're blessed. Get the bad mind back away. Today no one can break my shine. I roll in with Jada by my side. Where with you man get nothing. Don't bring no bad vibes on here, don't come. No, don't come. Today we are blessed to be alive.
Adapt, Diversify, Recreate, Independence 38. To our chairperson, Ms. Jacqueline Bryant, who adroitly controlled the flow of this evening's proceedings in a professional manner, I wish to express much thanks. I am certain that I am not alone in saying that my ears welcome the smooth delivery of our dear O Land of Beauty by Mr. Enote Enanga. His talent must therefore be recognized and applauded. Wonderfully done, Mr. Enanga. Our gratitude must be expressed to Pastor Michael Penny, as no activity or event can properly be executed without God's guidance and blessing, especially in these trying times. Thank you, Pastor Penny. Poise Escape has gained wide appeal at the household and social level for its ability to unlock the creative and artistic potential of our nation's youth through dance. This evening's performance confirms this claim. Thank you, Poise Escape, for executing such an amazing production. A special thank you to Mrs. Sonia Body Thompson for so proficiently introducing our keynote speaker, Dr. Almesha L. Richardson Campbell. After your presentation, we were able to learn useful and notable information about our esteemed presenter. To our keynote speaker, Dr. Almesha L. Richardson Campbell, a true daughter of the soil, thank you for your inspiring lecture, which encouraged us to use the theme of this year's Independence celebration, Adapt, Diversify, Recreate, Independence 38, as a rallying cry to arise, be creative and innovative in our bid to forge ahead with our nation's development agenda. I must highlight Dr. Campbell's encouragement for us as a people to operate as we did as young children in adapting to new situations today, as we did to enable us to conform to the new normal. I further thank our keynote speaker for highlighting the importance of our educators, the lifeblood of our society. They lay a foundation for our future. She rightfully stated, cherish your educators, protect them, and support them. I wish to further thank our distinguished speaker for stressing the importance of diversification, as in today's multifaceted environment, traditional methods are simply not enough. It is important for us to diversify by building deep and sustainable networks which will set us on a solid footing for the future. It is my hope that members of our audience and those via social and other media platforms consider adopting the two mottos that Dr. Richardson Campbell has applied to her professional career, namely, work for the cause, not the applause, and letting your work speak for itself. Let these words encourage our quest for advancement. Thank you for reminding us that we have the ability to define who we are and not allow other people to define us, and that we should adapt a mindset that allows us to excel in everything that we do. As we struggle to adapt and live with the COVID-19, I commend Dr. Richardson Campbell in her aim to inspire our people to be prepared, be agile enough to adjust and change, and be ready to respond rather than waiting for the middle of a crisis to plan. These indeed are sound words. A most special thank you must be expressed for her generosity in launching the scholarship program at the Newton Ground Primary School. Dr. Richardson Campbell, your lecture this evening provided much food for thought, and I wish to express gratitude to you for taking time to address the people of St. Kitts and Nevis as we celebrate our 38th anniversary of independence. Thank you, Dr. Richardson Campbell. Mrs. McDonnell Huggins, I must commend and thank you for so skillfully responding to Dr. Richardson Campbell's exhortation of us as a nation. Thank you for recapping the salient points of this evening's lecture. Tonight was filled with sweet melodies as Soca Empress and her band performed a euphonious rendition that left us wanting more. Our ears were pleased, and for that we must say thank you. It would be remiss of me to not say thank you to the ushers, members of the media, and the production team, and all persons involved in making tonight's event a success. In closing, I would like to take this opportunity to remind our citizens that in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, and as we celebrate our 38th anniversary of independence, that we should observe now more than ever and put into practice our great motto of country above self. I thank you. Have a good evening.
And I now thank you for giving the vote of thanks this evening. And also I would like to particularly thank the protocol officers and the members of the production team who were very instrumental to this evening's proceedings and ensuring that everything went smoothly. We had a virtual event and I think it went very, very well. We all know technology can throw us a lot of surprises. So we've come to the end. I want to wish each of you a safe journey home. I have good news. You've been here for a while, so there are refreshments outside waiting for you. Thank you so much for coming here. I hope you leave inspired and that you are going to work hard to make St. Kitts a bigger, better nation. Thank you. Mr. Prime Minister, would you like to say a few words? Okay. Okay, yes, tomorrow is National Heroes Day, and you are invited to look at, or if you can they attend? Attend the event tomorrow morning, 7:30, 8 o'clock at the National, pardon me? It's beginning at 8 a.m., but should you get there at 7:30, they would greatly appreciate it so that the event can begin on time. And you know that the National Heroes Park is a historic place. We have actually put a structure in place to acknowledge and immortalize our national heroes. And so I would like to invite all of you to attend the ceremony tomorrow morning. Enjoy your public holiday and enjoy the refreshments and safe journey home. God bless.